All right, so today was a little bit of a roller coaster. I started the day with some trades on CPOP, CPOP, and it squeezed from like 650 to 750 up to 8. And I was thinking, all right, man, if this thing breaks over 9, we might get a retest of yesterday's high, which was 967. So what I ended up doing was I started kind of slow on it, just taking a few little trades on the way up, got myself to up about $1,800. And then as it started to pull back, I was like, okay, this looks like a good spot for a dip. I jump in, buy the dip, it goes lower. I was like, shoot, now I'm up only 1,100. I get back in for another dip, it goes lower. Now I'm up only 500. I was like, man, okay. I get back in for one more dip, now I'm down 10 bucks. I was like, wow, okay. This is not bouncing. It's just selling off more and more and more. And then out of nowhere, we had a stock that squeezed up 300%. And in less than 30 minutes, in about 25 minutes, I make $7,500 on it. Well, actually, that's not true. I made over $10,000, and then I gave back 25% off the top. Okay, so 25 minutes, $7,500. That was the biggest trade of the day. We'll talk about that in a minute. But that was not my last trade. I took one more trade, and it was a mistake. So we've got to break that one down in today's recap. Now, for those of you guys who didn't already complete the survey yesterday, you could do it again today if you want. It's still open. I'm asking you guys, what time is the best time for me to teach a live class next week? I want to teach you guys a live class on how to trade the hot market. And so I'm going to leave it up to you guys to choose the time that works the best based on what's the best for everyone. So then we'll email you the date of the live class. So there'll be a link pinned to the top of the comments and in the top of the description so you can check that out and fill out that survey. All right, so let's jump onto the screen share and break down the roller coaster day that was today. All right, so let's begin with looking at CPOP, CPOP. Okay, so this is the one that I started the day with. I'm down $10.11 on it, which is kind of silly. So basically what happened was right at about 8 a.m. it starts squeezing up. And pretty much it went from 650 up to about 9 and then came back down to 7. You know, it just didn't hold up super well. So this was the first one I traded. And prior to this, I was actually wondering if today was going to be a no trade day because I just wasn't seeing anything that looked that great. In any case, it starts to pop up, and I took my first trade at about 8. It was a little high. It was 819, 826. I added at 841 and 850 for the squeeze higher, and I took some profit at 857. It hit a high here of about 868. So I basically traded it as it broke this micro pullback right here. That was my trade. So it squeezed up. I bought this micro pullback, made about $1,400, maybe $1,500 on that trade. Got another trade as it squeezed up here to a high of 9. So I got myself up about almost $2,000, not quite, maybe $1,800. And then as it started to pull back, I tried to do my first dip at 850. So I tried to buy this dip down here for a double bottom at 850. It goes lower. And I was like, all right, well, you know what? It's fine. I'll try to do this dip at $8. It goes lower. This thing does not want to bounce. So let's see. And there was one more dip. Now I can't remember where it was, but it doesn't really matter. Anyway, so I lost on 3 dips on it, and I went from up about 1,800 to up or down $10, which doesn't really matter. But don't forget, I pay for fees and commissions. So my commissions on it, you know, they could be at least $100, maybe $150. So I'm down like $160, maybe $200 on this stock. All right, and at that point, I was really thinking, you know what? All right, maybe today's just not going to be the day. Let's be patient. And then out of nowhere, LRHC pops up on our scans. It's got a 5 million share float. It's not super low, but it's a recent IPO. Basically had no volume yesterday, and all of a sudden it's popping up this morning. So what I did on this one was I bought the micro pullback, which is pretty much the same as what I did on CPOP, but on this one, it was a much bigger move. So I got in right here on this micro pullback, and this thing rips through 240, and not kidding, goes all the way up to $3.87 and to 440. That's a 100% move there in about 30 seconds. That was crazy. So right there, I made like $5,000. It pulls back. I jump in on this pullback right here. Of course, this is a micro pullback, and it squeezes up to 5. Another micro pullback, squeeze up to a high now of 530. Then it pulls back. So at this point, I hit a high of 8,500. It pulls back, and I lost 1,000 off the top trying to buy this dip down here. It flushes, goes lower. I then got back in for this curl right here as it started to pull away. I did a dip off of 380, which worked down here, but only for a small profit, and then added at 425 as it started to pull away. Squeezes up to 5. Now I'm up 10 on the day. So basically, in 25 minutes, up 10,000. Goes sideways for a little bit. It pulls back, and I gave back profit on this one. It ends up pushing up to a high of 6. And I actually didn't do super well on this move because I don't know, kind of didn't time it right, I guess. Got in a little too high, and I kept adding, thinking it was going to go to like $7 or $8 because we were breaking the all-time highs. The all-time high on this stock was 545. So I tried to size up for a big move. Didn't happen. It flushes down. And then right here, I tried to do a dip off of 530, the previous high. It flushes. Take a loss. I tried to do another dip off of 5, and it flushes again. And at that point, I was like, all right, you know what? Now I'm up 7,500. I've given back 25% of my profit on this. And that's when WETH hits the scan. WETH hits the scan, and I'm like, okay. Doesn't have much trading history, so I'm like, okay, this is sort of similar. Maybe this is one that pops. So this is a micro pullback right here before this red candle forms. It hit a high of about 448. It pulls back for a second, and I bought 5,000 shares at 440. Boom. Then it drops to 320. All right. So that's my P&L on the day. The big reveal. Gave back about 62% of my profit off of my high of day, hitting a high of 10 and finishing at 3,800. And it's a shame. I coulda, woulda, shoulda stopped before that trade when I'd given back 25%. But, we've been in a hot market. This popped up after we just had a stock go up 300%. I thought maybe there'd be some sympathy momentum on it. And it just, like, flush hard. So it happens. But this is a good spot to walk away. And even though it's still early, this is a spot to walk away because of the percentage that I've given back. Now, there was a question earlier today that was being asked about how do I avoid not selling too soon? One of our members at Warrior Trading took a trade on OCUR this morning. I think it was OCUR. Let's see. Oh, well, which one was it? Maybe it's on the scanner here. OCUL is what it was. OCUL. And he said he got in at $8.35 and sold at $8.50. So I was like, okay. He's like, well, how can I stop myself from selling too soon? And I was like, well, let me look at the trade. Initially, what I thought is maybe he chased it, and so he sold early because he just felt like he was in too high. But then I pulled out the chart, and I was like, oh, okay. So you were in like right down here at 835. It's a really good entry. And he's saying he sold at 850, which is like right here. So he sells at 850 for 15 cents profit, and then it goes up to 950, all the way up to 1050. So okay, I think it's safe to say he sold a little too soon. But of course, in the moment, he had no idea what this was going to do. Now, I commented that, well, don't forget, this is a 75 million share float stock. A little more expensive on light volume, likely with big spreads. So I don't know if it's really the one to get super excited about. Nonetheless, it ends up going up, so okay. But let's just forget about the float for a second, because I don't think that's why he sold as soon as he did. I think what you have to do on these is you have to say, well, my entry is at 530 or 835. What's my stop? My stop is the low of this pullback, which is 810, approximately. So I'm risking 20 cents, right? Not, something like that. So 25 cents. It's not a lot, but taking a little bit of risk here. And my profit target on this should probably be 50 cents. If you're going to risk 25, you should make 50. Risking 25 to make 15 doesn't really make sense. So if you get in and you understand what your risk is, then I don't want to sell until I see an actual exit indicator. And I don't know, maybe there was a big seller here, but unless I see an exit indicator, I want to hold on as long as I can. So one thing that you can do, and that I've done in the past when I've felt that urge to get out, is to press the hotkey to sell half. Instead of selling the whole position, I sell half. That keeps me in the trade a little longer, but also kind of solves for that gut feeling of needing to take some profit. So I might take some profit at as it's pulling away and I'm up 30, 40 cents, and I'm starting to hit at least a 1-to-1 profit to loss ratio. But yeah, to sell at 850, that's tough. That's definitely selling a little too soon. And the problem with doing that is you had a great trade, $2 a share, and now you're capping your winners. But are you capping your losers also? Hopefully you are. But if you're not, then you're going to have bigger losers and really small winners. And then it's a negative profit loss ratio. It's going to be really hard to be profitable like that. So, for me um, on my losing trade on WETH, I bailed pretty quickly, but it was hard to mitigate the risk because all of a sudden I hit the sell button. There was obviously a hidden seller at 440, which I bought my shares from, but there weren't any hidden buyers. So when I turned around to sell, it flushed, pretty quickly. And the market makers will do this. I mean, they move out of the way very quickly. So when market makers are creating the spread, it'll drop in an instant. So there wasn't much I could do to mitigate risk on this, but I still cut my loss very quickly. And in total, I could have lost a lot more if I'd held the whole thing. So it could have been worse. On LRHC, on a couple of these trades, I really tried to let the winner ride, especially on that move that we got up to this high of what was it, 630. I was like, okay, here we go. Is this the trade that I could be adding every 25 cents and we get a parabolic squeeze? You might still get one on it today, and I'm feeling a little bit conflicted about where I sit on the day. I'm regretting having taken this loss because it's effectively knocked me out for the day. I want to keep trading. This might go higher, but I can't because if I keep trading and I lose more, I'm just going to get more and more frustrated. It's disappointing enough, but I'm not. I'm disappointed, but I'm not angry with myself because at the time that I took this trade, I wasn't breaking a rule by taking that trade. I hadn't already given back more than 50% of my profit after hitting my daily goal. On CPOP, I was a little annoyed at that time. I hadn't, being up 1800 is not my daily goal, so giving back all of it, you know, that happens. It's not a big deal. But it was a little disappointing. And I kind of knew today felt slow to begin with, so I was like, I shouldn't have pushed it so hard buying those dips. So I was a little annoyed there. And then, got back to kind of my highs from zero to hero after LRHC. And now, okay, took a loss on WETH. It happens. You got to step up to the plate and take risk. I did the same thing on LRHC and in net, stepping up to the plate and taking risk, produce profit today, as long as I walk away now and don't overstay my welcome. The later we get into the morning, as we get closer to the open, it's going to start getting choppy. More market makers are going to come online, more algos are going to come out. And although you certainly could see a move on LRHC based on the fact that it's a blue sky setup, uh, if I hadn't knocked myself out, I would stick around and keep watching it. But at the same time, most likely, what I've found recently is that the biggest moves have been sort of pre-market, and then there's a second wave between like 10 and noon time. And being on my traveling trading station here in St. Martin, I don't really want to be trading all day long. So, anyways, it's just important to know when to walk away on any given day. It's a real struggle, and I know traders in this exact spot who would keep trading and that go potentially to red on the day, which then you start to get really angry with yourself because you're like, wow, I went from up 10 to red. What's wrong with me? So got to know when to walk away. Today, definitely, we had a great move on LRHC, so that's good. The market's still, pretty hot, but I tried to jump on the next one for sympathy and slammed back down, got rejected. So have to be a little bit careful right now, and I maybe jumped in that with a little too much size, but it is what it is. So we do have some continuation stocks I'm still watching. I'll be watching them tomorrow as we go into the end of the week. But realistically, I'm kind of happy to sit where I am here today. This actually is very similar, I want to say, to where I finished yesterday. Actually, can't quite remember, but I think, no, yeah, it is. It is. This is about the same as where I finished yesterday, as it turns out. So, anyways, that's okay. A couple smaller days. Monday or Tuesday. Monday we had the market holiday. Tuesday was a good day. So, continuing the hot streak, and we'll be back at it tomorrow. We'll do my recap later in the day, and then I'll be looking forward to seeing you guys back on Monday, and I'll be back in my office at home, which will be nice. So, reminder, check out the survey. There's a link below in the description and a link pinned in the top of the comments. You can tell me what time of day is best for you guys to do, for me to teach a live class, what day of the week and what time next week is best for you. And then I'll try to accommodate those requests and teach during that time. All right, so reminder as always, trading is risky. My results aren't typical, so take it slow, manage your risk. Easy come, easy go. And I'll see you back here for my recap tomorrow.